by the way, also later compared the Gadsden flag, because he had to appease them, right? It's a Democrat, to the LGBTQ plus AAIP flag, saying other kids have LGBT flags on their backpacks.
Hold on, what's AAIP? What is that?
There's asexual, I don't know what the other A1, then there's intersex and pansexual.
Wow. Because in Canada, it's...
I think it's AIIP. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Other kids have LGBT flags on their backpacks. Others have flags of major political parties or flags that support whatever causes they do. And that's part of learning from one another. Now, I understand that. And of course, if the kids want to have an LGBTQ flag, absolutely. Now, when it comes to learning, I would say, the historical context of the Revolutionary War and Benjamin Franklin, and like you said, attempting to turn this nation into a penal colony, along with introducing an invasive species, so there's an ecology lesson there, is more valuable than chicks with dicks.
Or guys with tits.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to Rachel Maddow.
Oh boy.
She does look like a guy.
And if at any point, by the way, I don't know if you've already hit this. We have the YouTube dump button, so we don't self-censor. That means head on over to Rumble. Let's go for the timing there.
Wow, Steven.
All right.
My Red Bull's kicking in. I'm sorry.
So, Rachel Maddow. Is there anything else we want to say about the gas and flag? No.
Move on.
You guys can. Maybe we should. Let's send that to Mom. Let's send the Mom and the son some merch and.
If anybody can let us know if they know. I don't want to dox.
No, I don't want to bring the kids
If they
underage.
know, then send it to the tips line, and we'll make sure that we get in touch with them.
Yeah. That's what happened with Stephen Williford with the Sutherland Springs shooting. Remember, his whole family reached out, and this is the first show that he did.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I have an update for everybody that you're going to love, and we have to take. It's not just on Mug Club. I want everybody to be able to hear this of somebody who had leukemia about a year ago that reached out to us. We sent a merch kit to them and everything. Very happy story. So I think we've got somebody in control room who can send that over to us.
Send it to us before we leave. Before we go to Mug Club. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what?
Fantastic.
We will rely on you guys to comment any platform where you are and tell I remember that person. I don't remember the name.
I don't either.
I remember the story.
Yeah.
I'm assuming remission. Please don't tell them. Don't do like a bait and switch. And it's a shallow grave.
Funeral was a success.
It's like, no, it doesn't have leukemia. It turns out it's progeria and a lifespan of 30. That's not what's happening.
I wouldn't do that to you. Trust me.
Thank you, guys.
Progeria.
It's just such an.
It's an aging disease, you guys.
Yeah. Well,
apparently, Steven thinks it's funny to make fun of kids with advanced aging.
The whole nation did.
That's how we deal with it.
We all turned a blind eye to Charlie Brown. Come on. This was
Nobody asked
I didn't know Charlie Brown was a progeria.
Charlie Brown and the Great Make-A-Wish patch. Now,
Oh, I got to get off this show. Keep going.
You're already in it. Rachel Maddow.
She might have balls, Your Honor.
Who said that?
And if you can believe it, Murderers Row on Monday is way worse. Way worse.
Oh, yeah.
So on Tuesday, MSNBC host Rachel Maddow, this person predicted that Trump would declare, and I guess we're going to play the full thing and pause and play because it's pretty long, but a lot of you saw that. And not that many people watch Maddow, just to be clear. I mean, there are far more of you in Mug Club if you were to actually compare apples to apples. But this is something that has been echoed, I've seen by a lot of people on the left, right? They're trying to scare you into the idea that if Donald Trump is elected, he's going to, become a Putin or going to become a Kim Jong-il or Un, whichever one you prefer. I don't like either. Here is Rachel Maddow talking about this from yesterday.
The election means one of two things, if this is the way he's going to approach it. Either he loses the election and he goes to prison, or he wins the election, he doesn't go to prison, and is that for life? That he gets to be president? Will we keep having more elections?
Okay, pause. Hey, there's an option number 3. Let's say he doesn't win the election and also doesn't go to prison. See the half-truth? Assuming guilt.
Yeah.
Assuming guilt.
Yep.
This is someone who doesn't believe in due process.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You're innocent until proven guilty. And if the past is any accurate or reliable indicator of the future, they call him Teflon Don for a reason. So her binary choice, that's the one area where she accepts the binary, I guess, also computer coding 00110. But it's option number 1, he wins and he doesn't go to prison, or option number 2, he loses and he goes to prison. That's not an assumed fact. You're trying to say the only way he gets out of being convicted is if he somehow steals an election. That's what you're trying to imply. It's just It's not accurate.
Well, and she's also assuming that he's going to stay in power forever. Why? Okay, so he was already.
She's trying to scare you.
No. But he had that opportunity.
Right.
He was in power. He thought an election was stolen, and we did have a peaceful transition of power. I don't understand where this is coming from.
If you listen to what she says, if you watch how she finishes this, Because what she's equating Trump voters to are terrorists.
Well, let's let her, and then let's continue watching the young man.
Stupid.
Now, if every election is a new opportunity for him to go to prison, do you think he allows us to have new elections? I mean, if those are the stakes, if winning the election is his plan
Hold on a second, pause. Hold on a second. If the stakes are every single time someone you don't like wins the presidency and once they're out of office, you indict them, the rules have changed. Just to be clear, This is unprecedented, certainly for the kind of bullshit that's been going on. And I don't know if you know this, but what Barack Obama did to the Donald Trump campaign makes Watergate look like child's play. I'm talking about the analogy here. I'm not the film. That's terrifying. Yeah. He killed a teacher with a ruler. Continue.
Prison. What happens in that election if and when he does not win it? Does that kind of an election end with a graceful concession to a fair and square re-elected President Biden?
Already has.
Pause. Does it end with you spying on your opponent's campaign as Barack Obama did? Let's do a whole segment, by the way, on Barack. I feel like people gloss over that. It's not a conspiracy. Barack Obama was spying on... I'm not talking about Russia collusion, just to be clear. I'm talking about Barack Obama. They were spying on the incoming president, Donald Trump, on his campaign. For crying out, Nixon didn't even know what happened with Watergate. It's the fact that afterwards he tried to cover it up for political reasons because he didn't want to be. You know what Nixon said when he found out about Watergate being bugged? You can listen to the phone call because he was also silly enough to record himself because he thought full transparency. I want this for the historical record. I believe his exact words are when he's told about they bugged the Watergate. He goes, well, "Who's the jackass who cleared that?" Yep. Whereas it came directly from Obama. So let's talk about leaving gracefully. Or do you mean like the Clintons, who literally removed the W's from every keyboard in the White House when George W. Bush came in?
Well, that's kind of funny.
It is kind of funny, but the idea that it's graceful? All right, let's continue.
I mean, if Trump and his supporters see the stakes as losing and going to prison winning and being president, and probably president for life, how should we expect that he and the Republican Party and Republican officials in swing states are going to handle the conduct of that election that Trump may very well lose? And because we are prone to forget, we have to say out loud,
Biden is.
That we would be remiss, we would be willfully naive to ask that question as if our politics exists in a vacuum, somewhere outside the rest of our news.
Find your words.
As if the politics pages are totally different than the crime pages, right? As if we are not in a moment where far-right politics is coincident with far-right violence, with regular shows of force from paramilitary extreme right groups, and with acts of violence by people who are explicitly and admittedly motivated by far-right eliminationist political
All right, hold on a second.
ideas.
Pause this really quickly.
So there you go.
Well, was that the end of it, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, that's the end. Well, hold on a second. Let's go through this while you talk about... And I'm going by rote here. Again, you guys kind of see it's like I don't really have a prompter. What I have is a map that tells me which clips we're about to run. Going by rote, Black Lives Matter protests. Last count we saw was $2 billion, but that was within the year of damages done. Thousands of casualties between officers and people, not to mention how many deaths, and entire towns and economies destroyed, right? Now, we know you're saying, hold on a second, I don't know if Black Lives Matter, Inc. would count as an organization, considering that actual organization funds, which by the way was a 501c3 registered publicly, just to be clear, use those funds to buy multi-million-dollar houses. I think that would qualify as an organization. Let's combine that with Antifa. You're looking at thousands of casualties and that billions of dollars in damages. Name me one right-wing paramilitary group that has inflicted that kind of damage on the American public. And you know what? On the black community itself. One. Your turn. Go. I'm not gonna give you your cheat sheet because I already know the answer.
And this, if you listen to what she's not saying at the end of that, when you say that, what you're really saying is that, hey, anybody who votes for Donald Trump, whether they're a Republican official or they're a voter, is an extreme far-right terrorist. Yep. So what does that imply? What that implies is it is prudent and it would be advisable to actually arrest, shoot, and silence all of those people. So she is calling anyone who supports anybody she disagrees with, in this case Trump, a far-right violent extremist. That is what she's saying.
I will say this: every single member, by the way, when they say, oh, hold on a second, there's far right and there's far left, and I'm a centrist, I take it on an issue-by-issue basis. Every single member of the DNC on a national level, every single one, and Rachel Maddow and every single host at MSNBC is actively involved in supporting violence as a matter of policy. Just with the one.
Correct.
Castrating chemically children or puberty blockers. That's violence.
Yep.
You are committing violence against children.
Yep.
You are already more of an extremist. No, it is not. It is not an extremist point of view to respond with, I don't want my son on. I don't want a teacher to be able to report me to CPS and take my children away if I don't put them on puberty blockers. Well, why is that? Are you an extremist? Because he's 6.
How about partial birth abortion?
Yep. Any one of you want to stand out, put a limit on abortion? We're not even getting to, hey, how many war crimes has where's Code Pink? Donald Trump been drafted up for?
0?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're talking about violence. In that very same speech, here's the funny thing, which is he won't relinquish power. Let's go back to January 6th. He said, march on Washington, make your voices heard peacefully and patriotically. If he's a dictator, you think we'd be having a debate about whether Mike Pence had the authority to certify the election? It would be irrelevant because he'd just ride in a Panzer. By the way, Rachel Maddow went on to explain more about this or try and sort of, I guess, reconcile her position with her inconsistencies, but unfortunately she was kidnapped and used as bait for Batman. So she has a full schedule.
She makes a good Robin.
She does.
I like that you used a Panzer. That's a World War II, a German World War II tank reference.
Well,
done,
look,
sir. Well done.
President Trump's a Renaissance man.
I did not know.
They don't make them like they used to.
Is this a half track?
And by the way, this is not the first time that the left has tried to insinuate that Donald Trump would be a dictator.
It's a catchy tune. Sorry.
Yes, it